Hi everyone out in the void, I'm Zach, this is the Shaken Fist, and this week, I'm still talking about Braxton Hunter. Well, we've got a lot of questions to get through. Let's just fucking do it. If you didn't watch the first part, links up there, links in the description, go watch that first so you can watch me get angry at those questions. Then you can come back, like this one, and if you haven't subscribed, do that already, leave the comments. And we'll get on to this cunt.
When atheism becomes a part of someone's worldview, they typically change their positions on other issues like abortion, sexual morality, and a number of other things. I actually have several videos of well-known atheists saying that there's nothing wrong with prostitution, that they hope their children don't save themselves until marriage, and that sex workers should be put up on a pedestal no different than the military. I didn't use those here because I didn't want to seem combative to individuals, specifically the individuals who made those statements. But even if you didn't become an atheist just so you could sin, and I believe you, do you at least understand why those moves could send that message to people who might say that to you?
Well, the reason that people, when they turn into an atheist, give a shit about this stuff less is because, well, when you realize that there isn't, this patriarchal god from, a long time ago wagging his finger at you, telling you how bad you are and how much of an evil person you are and how much everything in the world is evil and you should be afraid of everything in the world because it's evil even though it's his and he made it. And, you go, maybe actually we should care about the here and now. So, do you know what? Maybe if those people aren't ready to bring a child into the world, maybe that child shouldn't be put through the struggles of being with a family that isn't ready for them. Like, yeah, it's shit that they don't get to exist, but also, maybe all the trauma that might come with it that they avoid is also a good thing. Because, I don't know, who wants to live a trauma-filled life? And, like, why is prostitution so bad? I never understand this. It's like Colin said.
Selling is legal, fucking is legal. Why isn't selling fucking legal? Why should it be illegal to sell something that's perfectly legal to give away? I can't follow the logic on that at all. Of all the things you can do to a person, giving someone an orgasm is hardly the worst thing in the world. In the army, they give you a medal for spraying napalm on people. Civilian life, you go to jail for giving someone an orgasm. Maybe I'm not supposed to understand it.
Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, if it's all above board, then you take it out of the hand of the criminals that make it not above board, and do the human trafficking, where the other one, when it's an illegal place, you could go up, you could do your thing, and then, when you don't want to do it anymore, you could say, I'm going to hand in my notice, and you tip the fuck out the door. And, like, that's not to mention that, like, whilst they'll be working there, they could collect benefits, like health insurance. They could pay into, or if it's like British, you could pay into you could pay national insurance, so you could get, actual healthcare off, like a doctor in case something goes wrong. It's almost like, actually, if we legalize things and bring them under governmental control, then we take them out of the hands of criminals, you see. And, you could make sure that it's not slavery, because that happens in the illegal circles. So actually, making it legal and like regulating it would actually make a lot of people's lives a lot better and would in fact collapse, some evil people's like evil empires, which would be a good thing, right? No, I guess because the Christians said so, that's not good enough. Okay. So maybe that's why. And like, I don't give a shit if they think that we're just doing it to sin. I don't give a flying fuck. Fuck them, right? These people have wanted to oppress people for their sexual nature and their being since the fucking time immemorial, right? So the way I look at it is I don't give a shit about the oppressor's feelings. Funny that, innit? And sex before marriage. Ugh. All we actually say most of the time is actually what it is really, you don't have to wait till marriage. That's what we're saying. It's not saying that actually what you should go out and do is fuck everyone.
Welcome to Midnight Q. Tonight we're going to enjoy the smooth jazz of Charles Mingus. Norman Mailer is here to read an excerpt from his latest book. And then we also have a girl from Omaha who's hiding a banana. We'll find out where. Giggity giggity, giggity goo. Stick around.
Right? What it's actually saying is you shouldn't be forced into a way of life if you don't feel comfortable with it. You should feel free to express yourself as long as you're doing it with consenting adults. That's all that matters. As long as people aren't getting harmed in a major way, like cutting off limbs and eating body parts, like vorism or something. Like, it's fine. Like, he's not harming things. What's the fucking point? But hey, it's not like, controlling, people's sex lives, what they say, and, what they eat, and having, food restrictions and stuff like that. I know you don't anymore, you got rid of it, but you guys used to. Remember when you couldn't eat fish on Fridays? If you control the base things that people need in life to survive and to, do the life things, well then, it's just greater exertion of control. And maybe people are against that. I don't know why they would be, especially when they're not part of it anymore.
If it's a lack of belief sort of atheism, what is it? Is it 50-50, 60-40, 75-25? And at what point do you feel disingenuous saying that you merely lack a belief, as opposed to leaning towards, I believe that God does not exist?
This just in, atheist doesn't feel disingenuous for not thinking the same way as Braxton Hunter. Because, I'm one of those 100% you are completely full of shit people.
Now, I know we've all got our talking points, and I'm probably older than you are, so ease up there, Ace. Everyone's tempted to think they're an expert, but I want you to struggle to be as sincere with yourself as you can right now. Moreover, I've never ever been an atheist, and I'm completely aware this is going to sound smug, even though I don't mean it that way. But the reality is, I think I understand the arguments for and defenses of atheist positions better than most atheists I know.
Because I'm just lying to myself all the other time. I love the priming of that. Why don't you just for once be honest with yourself? Very nice.
Doesn't it bother you a little bit that when we come to talk about the origins of the universe, and if there's a multiverse, the origin of that too, that the only real options you've got besides God is a past infinite universe, which is impossible, or the universe coming to exist uncaused out of nothing, or something far less clear than even those? Moreover, I've never ever been an atheist, and I'm completely aware this is going to sound smug, even though I don't mean it that way. But the reality is, I think I understand the arguments for and defenses of atheist positions better than most atheists I know. It seems that for any worldview that includes atheism, there's a massive blind spot when it comes to the origin of the universe. And all the attempts to try and circumvent that problem seem desperate and at least far less likely than theism. My question isn't just what do you typically say about this, because I'm well aware of the responses. My question is simply this: when you step away from the debate mode that it's so easy for us all to get into online, doesn't this issue destabilize you a little bit? It seems to fit really poorly with any worldview that includes atheism.
Oh, wait, no, sorry. Oh, I'm abashed. Oh, I'm so abashed. It does. When I get out of my debate bro mode, I totally worry about actually that I don't understand the beginning of the universe as a tiny ape on a tiny backwaters planet on a tiny black backwaters galaxy. Oh no. I don't understand the very, very beginning of the universe, because maybe we're not meant to, being that it's the start of the universe, and we are but mostly hairless apes. Fuck off. No, it doesn't bother me in the fucking slightest. And in fact, excites me for the things that science might find in the future. Aren't you worried you don't know the start? No. Because being a person who likes stories, being that all people like stories, that's why we use analogies and all these different things, because it's a little pithy thing, look, little personalized story makes it more knowledgeable for you, makes it easier to understand, right? So we think that because we have a beginning and a middle and an end, we've put that on everything, right? But the thing is the universe isn't necessarily actually even what we think it is. Because the universe is only the name of a concept to everything in our that we can see and experience and such, right? But the thing is all the fabric of existence could be so incomprehensible different to us that it doesn't matter. Just saying that God has to be there forever and ever first doesn't fill those holes. It just makes it sillier. You just got, no, there was just a guy and he was just sat in the water forever. There was other things, Leviathan was there too, right? it doesn't sound, oh, don't you feel bad about all the stupid atheist workarounds, when the actual stupid atheist workaround is, I'm sorry, we don't know. We might have some further understanding in the future, but we don't right now. And we all go, yep, fair enough, because it's not that bad. I don't know. What am I supposed to find? What? All our stuff is more unlikely. We don't know exactly, and we have a bunch of different hypotheses based on the current data. And you go, hey, we have a book from I don't know, 3,000 years ago, some of it, maybe, that's been rewritten on multiple occasions by multiple people for multiple reasons, and as scribal errors, and you guys don't even believe half of the shit that's in it. Hey, do you believe in Adam and Eve and Noah and all this stuff? Who's the first fucking person in the Bible you actually think was real? And who's the first person in the Bible you actually have archaeological evidence for? But, hey, yours is more reasonable because it's an infinite God forever and ever and ever. And it was in the waters with Leviathan, right? Except you don't believe that anymore because we've been out to space and we sent spacecraft to the fucking moon. So now, actually, yes, it's space, and all that beginning stuff is allegory. So what's more reasonable? Us saying we don't know and having some ideas of what it might be, or you who's made up a religion based on a religion from thousands of years ago that's nothing like the one that you practice now, but they're the same gods and they have the same, absolute morality and all those other things, right? Yes, I forgot yours is the reasonable one. Oh, you've done, all the atheist talking points on this, right? It's funny how you didn't mention the cyclic universe, where the universe contracts and expands, and it does this forever.
Of the arguments for God's existence, is there one that to you seems more interesting than the rest? Is there one that for you actually does weigh in favor of theism? Which one?
I always love this shit, don't you? Hey, could you do my work for me? Could you tell me in video form so I could compile them and tell people, look at all these people, they find this the most convincing, so it's the most convincing. By the way, also, it'll help me try and convince you later on, because you've told me what your weakest pillar is. The thing is I don't find any of your arguments for theism very convincing, because they're just leading statements that don't actually prove anything. I believe in proof when it comes to stuff like this. You know why? Because, I don't know, it's almost like we've developed a system that when it actually started demanding proof, and that proof to be buttressed by other people providing the same proof, doing the same experiments and stuff like that I don't know, actually, and it brought all these different technological advances because we started figuring out things and figuring out different properties of things and what stuff was, then yes, I will believe that more. And I will require that more than leading statement from someone I've never met. Do you know who arguments convince me of? Interpersonal conflicts, because they are from people I know. You know what I mean? Not people I don't know trying to convince me of things that they can't possibly understand or have any knowledge of. Nobody can have any knowledge of what exactly happens 50 minutes after death. Do you know what I mean? The idea that anybody actually knows is silly, right? But say we know yours isn't real, it's different. So here's a better question. Which one of these arguments that I'm supposed to be convinced by points to your God and not someone else's?
Most atheists I've met humbly admit that they don't think they can have absolute certainty about much of anything. But what they want from the Christian is a demonstration that God exists or that Christianity is true. Well, when we offer the reasons to believe that we do have, those are typically deemed not good enough. So what sort of evidence, if any, would be enough to convince you? Do you know? And since it's often a conversation stopper, let's take experimental reproducibility off the table, since that's not even always necessary for science.
My name is Braxton Hunter, George, and I know a lot about science, George, and the science don't need reproducibility and experimentation in science, George. Come on. Of course you need experimentation and reproducibility in science. Otherwise, you get thought pieces where people say we live in a fucking simulated universe, you see? And people go, oh, that's very nice. And they're called opinion pieces, and that's not science. Science is a method. People have given the name science to the body of knowledge, all these other things, but science is a method. It demands experimentation because that's what science is. It's one of the differences between the hard sciences and the soft sciences, isn't it? Because one has more experimentation and reproducibility in it. Do you know what actually you know what proved God's existence to me? Like, aside from God knowing because he knows, like, us actually finding God in something. Because God is natural. This God is supernatural stuff is bullshit. If God made nature, and the only way nature can exist is because of him, then he is the most natural thing. It doesn't matter if he's outside of existence, he is still part of nature, because the prime mover made it moveth. So, actually, we should find something of him in everything. So, you shit out of luck, son. We could find something in the future. But the thing is there is actual things we could find. And your Bible has experiments that we could do. So I'm going to pray to Baal. You're going to pray to Yahweh. We're both going to sacrifice a bull. And then the first one on fire wins. If it's good enough for the Canaanites, it should be good enough for us, goddammit.
To what extent did social and moral issues start you down the path toward your atheism? That is to say, the typical Christian or religious views on sexuality, gender, rights, and acts and commands of God in the Old Testament. It seems that many deconversion stories online begin with, or at least include, LGBT issues, purity culture, or hell as instrumental in the deconversion process. It strikes me that what should matter most is the truth and not what we might prefer that the truth were. I honestly wonder how much those issues and ones like them motivate the deconversion rather than all this talk about evidence.
All this talk of evidence. You know, most evidence doesn't really come into most deconversion except for at the very end. Mostly, deconversion starts from, you know, them not just like, not being convinced by arguments, hearing people's complaints and go, yeah, I know. The problem of evil comes up a lot. Stuff like that. I got banned from a church because they were fundamentalists. And I said the blasphemous thing that why can't science be figuring out God's work? Because, well, science is obviously getting stuff correct. Look at what we have. So if it's how nature works, then it must be how God does it. And I got kicked out of the church. Ah! And then when we went to the next one, tried to go to another one, well, we went there and apparently it was too rich of a church because we were poor people. And like, my mum felt uncomfortable for going in because they would look down on us for being poor.
The rich man in his castle, the poor man at his gate. He made them lie lonely and ordered their estate.
And it's like, well, I remember saying, well, it's God's house, right? And I remember doing things like, you know, praying in my room, not telling people about it, not praying in church because that's what Jesus said, even though everybody around me was doing it. But everybody heard God. God was talking to everybody but me. It's awful lonely, that. That there's the entirety of existence. And God talks to and moves through everything and talks to everyone. But you, man, that's real lonely. That's also when I realized that, do you know what? He probably doesn't exist. Because if he was real, when I felt the loneliest, and God should be there for me, and he wasn't. So, all the evidence stuff comes later. When you actually try and reinforce your opinion, you go, no, God must be real, and you try and look for proof.
Can you name the last 3 academic books you read by theists on the subject? How long ago did you read them? Or is most of your understanding of apologetics and atheism from non-scholarly internet sources, pop-level books, and, let's face it, YouTube videos? And be honest with yourself about this. Anyone can Google up a list of books and paste them in the comments section. But I want to know, are you getting the best from the other side?
I don't know. See, the thing is when I pick my scholarly books, and which I listen to mostly, because I'm an evil person and I use Audible, okay? But I can't waste time reading. Audiobooks are the way to go. So let's just go into my library. You know, while I'm being honest with myself, because, you know, like before, us atheists are just so dishonest with ourselves all the time. So let's just look at my library. Let's go through. This is I can't get my date read, so you'll just have to put up, okay? So, it's nothing, that's not it. Medieval Christianity. It's the history of Christianity in the medieval times by Kevin Magdigan. I don't know what religion he is. I don't know. And I'm not looking him up either, right? Mesopotamian, it's only slightly related. Assyria's only slightly related. Persia's only slightly related. Eric C. Klein talking about around the time that the Israelite thing, the Bronze Age collapse, that is actually directly related to the rise of Judah. I don't know what the fuck he is. David Braque, I'm not sure. I think he might be an atheist, but I'm not 100% sure. You see, that's the great thing about these great courses. They're not like books. They're like a lecture series of half-an-hour lectures on subjects by relevant scholars in the relevant fields. So did they count? Do they count because they're not a book? Bart Ehrman, yeah, he's an atheist. David Braque. History of the Bible by John Barton. Don't know what he is. This the Oxford History of the Biblical World. In fact, that is like an anthology of different people's different like texts and writings. So there's bound to be some in there. Sumerian mythology, it's not quite related enough. Triumph for Christianity, that's Bart Ehrman. It's going off when I bought them, so you'll just have to put up. I don't know what Gary Rendsburg is. I'm pretty sure he's Jewish, though, but I'm not 100% sure. Cynthia Chapman, I think, is a Christian, but I'm not sure. Oh, they're unavailable. Oh, they've been taken off the thing. That's not good. You know what I mean? Like, Craig Coaster, I think he's a Christian. That is a very good lecture series. I'm kind of annoyed that's actually been taken off the Audible Prime thing. Bart Ehrman. Yeah, I like Bart Ehrman. What can I say? Joel M. Hoffman. I don't know what he is, but by his writing style, I think. Oh, Robert Miller. No, actually, this is the one I was thinking of. I love this one. I listen to this one actually quite often. I think he's a Christian. And he's not even actually like a theology professor. He's an English professor. But it's a very, very interesting read. Joshua Bowen. Joshua Bowen is the biggest Christian ever. We've got Neil Asher Silberman and Israel Finkelstein. I love this book as well. I highly recommend this book. I read this book a lot. This is a book you should all read. Of course, this Francesca Stravapaka, I can never say Greek names properly. I'm sorry to Greek people, but I get stuttered by reading enough as it is, and it's too many syllables, and my mouth goes and then I sound really ignorant. I'm very sorry. Stravakapakalu. I can't say it. Martin Halverson Taylor. I think she's Jewish. Does Jews count? I mean, you said theist. Do I have to keep on doing this? I've done 2 pages. So, I listened to... And of course, Piece de la Resistance. Yesterday, me and Jimmy Tux started reading a book on stream that we're going to do every week. And it was yours, Mr. Braxton Hunter. So, I know, reading YouTube things isn't the best. But, you want us to read the proper, books on the subject. And I would assume you would think your own book, Corfax, is one of them. So, that was fun. I'm filming this 4 hours before this comes out. So, I remember the stream. Go watch it. I'll put a link in the description. I'll put a link up there, and in the description. Go do that after you watch this and like this, Like, subscribe, There's a lot there, right? Some of them are bound to be Christian. Some of them are not going to be Christian. You know what I mean? I don't know which one's which. I don't pay attention to it. And the thing is, right? The thing is when you're actually reading a real scholarly book, they don't tell you what their faith is. Because, dun dun dun, it's a scholarly piece and their opinion doesn't matter. Right? They should be backing this up in a scholarly fashion. And the thing is all my scholarly books tell me that actually Christianity ain't what you think it is. The Jews ain't what you think it and what they thought they were. Nothing was. And they all say this. And they all provide the same historical data. The thing is what you're real pissy about is they're not listening to your favorite scholars' particular data. Right? That's all it is. You want me to read? So how about this, sir? Why don't you tell me what books you want me to fucking read? What person are you so pissed off that I don't read? Why don't you tell me? Why don't you give me who you want me to read, you pretentious prick?
Let's finish with a pretty common one. If you found out today to your satisfaction that Christianity were true, would you accept God's authority, repent of your sins, and trust Jesus as your king?
Oh, did he stub his widow toes at the end? Oh, would you take him as king? Oh, I get my baby face on. Would you take a widow Jesus as king? Would you do it, you condescending fuck? The whole point of you saying it like that was to antagonize. You antagonistic piece of shit. Because you're a cunt, right? And the thing is I don't know. Because I have a thing against overarching powers that, oppress people. Like, yeah, I'd believe in him. I don't know that I'd worship him, though. And if I've only got to repent, I could just do it at the end.
I figure I'll go for the life of sin, followed by the presto changeo deathbed repentance.
Wow, that's a good angle.
So I'll do it then. Let's still get into heaven. Because that's the loophole he gave me. Hey, I tried very hard for my final minutes to live up to the standard I'd set. Like, fuck off. I tried it as a kid. He never spoke to me. If I found out he was suddenly real, I'd go, hey, cunt! Why the fuck were you so fucking silent? And if he gives me a satisfactory answer, well then, yes, I'd have to. Because he's fucking the god of everything, and I'll burn forever. And then my selfishness would kick in. Are you happy? Yes, and I'd only do it so I didn't burn in hell. But then actually, doesn't it mean that I get to follow actual biblical rules? And you're not a Jew, so I'd enslave you! And I'd keep the biblical rules of slavery. Because you are not of one of God's chosen people. You are not one of the Hebrews, my friend. So, in fact, actually, so many things would I make you do. If I get to live by Christian and Hebrew rules because it is the book in which we live and Jesus does say, in fact, I have come to fulfill the law, and not one bit of the law, but not one jot, not one tittle of the law shall change before blah, blah, blah. So actually, yes, you're damn right. I would then believe in God, and I would follow all of God's rules to the letter. I mean, I've already got tattoos on, so I'm fucked. So, but I'd do the rest. Look upon me and tremble. Well, first 10 questions done. Only 15 more to go. Aren't you excited? I'm excited. I'm so excited that I have to take pills. And they make me more excited. They're supposed to make me less excited, but they didn't work properly. Let's do more of them.
I think I'll do that with the things in a pill popper. Pop a pill, pop.
It's the only way forward. You pick a topic, and then you regret it halfway through. Right? And then we're not even halfway through, and you regret it. And then you just gotta plow through. So we're just gonna plow through. Just gonna keep on keeping on. Keep on keeping on. Oh yeah.